Hello, Happy New Year, welcome to 2025 and welcome to the Yellow River, where today we've brought our suitably coloured yellow car for today's review. This car is our first true off-roader on the channel, and the good news is it's going to international markets as well. In China, it's known as the Fangchengbao Bao 5 or Leopard 5, but in international markets, it's going to have a different name and even a different brand. This is Inside China Auto, and this, unofficially, is the Denza B5. Yes, this is the Fangchengbao Bao 5, or as I'm going to call it in this video, the Denza B5. And if you think I'm just throwing foreign names at you, alien words, don't worry, most people don't know who either of those two brands are. But by now, you probably heard of BYD, and they are the parent company of course, BYD, Yangwang, Denza, and Fangchengbao. Fangchengbao is their off-road brand, but it's a bit of a mouthful for international audiences. So they've decided to put this car underneath the Denza brand when it goes abroad. And Denza will be launching in Australia in 2025. They're already in Brazil, I believe, possibly South Africa as well, and they may be going to Europe at the same time. The Bao 5 is somewhat of an electric car, and by that I mean it straddles the line between extended range electric vehicle and a plug-in hybrid. What I mean by that is we get a 1.5 litre turbocharged engine under the bonnet producing 145 kilowatts of power. That can both charge the battery and drive the wheels when necessary. Otherwise, the wheels are driven by twin motors, one on the front, one on the back, giving this car 505 kilowatts of power, about 677 horsepower, and 760 newton meters of torque. So it is a big, brutey beast of a car. And it sits on BYD's DMO platform. That's dual mode off-road. So rather than be a monocoque design where the body is all built into one, like normal road cars, this is a true off-roader in that it gets kind of a ladder frame chassis down the middle, and the body sits on top of that ladder frame chassis. The ladder frame chassis enables this car to have cell to chassis technology, which means that the battery is built into that ladder frame, making it extra strong, extra safe at the same time from impacts from the side. It's well protected underneath as well, so you won't get any battery fires if you drive over a stone on a kind of an off-road course. It's the same platform that sits underneath the Yangwang U8. That's the big SUV you might have seen in viral videos floating down rivers because it can do that. This one can't do the floating, but it does have a wading depth of 79 centimeters, so it can go through quite a deep patch of water. It's also can't do the tank turn that the Yangwang U8 can, but it can do something called a leopard turn, which I'll show you later in the video. And as you can see, this one's got quite a big ground clearance on here. This version, the flagship version, plus another one, come with BYD's Dissus P suspension, which is air suspension, and that can lift this car off the road by 270 millimeters, giving you 270 millimeter ground clearance under there, which is really good for off-roading. It does feel very high once you get inside the car. Elsewhere, I mean, it does look like a very conventional old style SUV. Got a big massive bonnet there, very steeply raked A-pillar. You've got a big chunky squared off back end on this. Big haunches, chunky shoulders, a lot of angular lines, good old fashioned door handles like this. You also get this kind of step that pops out there on the flagship version. That lets me get up to the roof rack up here that can support up to 50 kilograms of weight. And as you can see, the door goes all the way down to the bottom as well, so you're not going to get mud on your pants when you climb in there. We've got a big mirror. We've also got 18-inch alloys with chunky tires on this one. You can get 20-inch wheels, though I suspect they're kind of more for posing rather than going off-road. This car's got kind of short breakover angles at the front and the back as well, so it's very, very capable as an off-road car. But of course, off-roaders need to be practical and ready for anything as well, because you don't know what's going to happen when you get stuck out on the trail in a jungle or in the desert or something like that. So this car comes equipped for all those scenarios. You'll see we have a full-size spare on the back, so if you get a puncture, you're sorted on that. You've also got a camera here as part of a 360-degree camera package, so you can see all the obstacles that you want to try and avoid running over. Get ourselves a side hinged boot lid here and a very nifty square access to this large boot. Not entirely sure how big, but I would say at least 500 litres of space in there. You can fold the rear seats down 40-60 to get well over 1,000 litres of space in this car. other features as well. This switch down here lowers the air suspension, 140 millimeters of travel on the air suspension, so you can make this load lip a little bit lower for heavy items in the back of the car. You also get a 220 volt socket there in the boot. It's a bit of a BYD thing. And under here, we get ourselves this as well. This is an AC extension cord. So this car can discharge up to 20 kilowatts of power to power things like camping equipment, tools, lights, whatever you want. And you can do that via the AC port here. This AC port, by the way, can also support vehicle-to-vehicle charging of 6 kilowatts. So if there's an electric car out on the trail and you've got petrol in your tank, you can help to charge their car from your charging port. That's pretty cool. We also have, of course, 2 big tow hooks here at the back. There's also 2 at the front in case you do get stuck in a ditch or you need to tow somebody else out of one. And of course, this car is rated for up to 2.5 tons for towing as well, for horse boxes or caravans or trailers and things like that. You can hear the air suspension going back up again. You can also get this car to lower the air suspension when you get in to make the car a bit easier. So it's a very, very practical car, a true off-roader in every sense of the word. Inside, maybe not as utilitarian as you might think. Now the B5 is quite a tall car to get into, so it does really help having that footstep there and a big chunky grab handle to help you climb up into what is a beautifully appointed cabin. This is not utilitarian at all in here. It's very high quality materials, so you either get leather, Napa leather or suede and Napa leather. We've got the Napa leather and suede, so you got leather on top of the dashboard, all on the upper surfaces, and everything else is pretty much suede as well. You get suede all down the front of these seats, suede on the centre, so it's really, very premium, and everything is really well screwed together. Nothing shakes more than it should. It's a really well put together car, this one. You also get microfiber roof lining as well, just to give you that extra sense of luxury. And they've really kept all the plastics down here because that's where you're going to get your dirty shoes. Not really much point having nice materials on the lower surfaces in an off-road car like this. But as well as being luxurious, there's also a lot of tech in here. You can see we have a 3-screen setup. So we've got a 12.3-inch screen for the driver functions there, 15.6-inch 2.5K screen in the middle for all your usual infotainment and maps and stuff like that. I'll come back to that one in a moment. And then an additional, on the 2 flagship versions of this car, 12.3-inch screen over there for the passenger. That gives them entertainment like TV and movies. In international markets, you'll probably get YouTube and Netflix and stuff on there as well. You can also get your maps on there. And the great thing is, I can't see that from where I'm sat, so it doesn't distract me while I'm driving. As well as those 3 screens, you also get a 50-inch head-up display as well, so a big clear display in front of you, keeps your eyes on the road, and one final screen up here on the mirror, which can be a digital mirror or a normal mirror at the flick of a switch. So it's quite technical, but one of the great things about BYD is they keep things simple as well. So your mirror controls are on the door, your steering is manually adjustable, you've got a load of switches here in the middle for your volume, for some heating controls, you've got your diff locks on this side, your air suspension, and these really cool kind of crystal switches in the middle to switch between EV and hybrid mode, drive mode, and your 4-wheel drive as well. And then even more buttons on the steering wheel. The left side for your autonomous driving functions, 360-degree camera, automatic parking, and your intelligent modes as well. You've got your phone and your infotainment controls on the right, and then 2 roller wheels here at the bottom. The left one for your eco, comfort, and sport, and the right one for your focused mode, because there are 16 different driving modes in this car. Let me show you those. You've got your intelligent mode that will adjust the drivetrain based on what kind of surface the car senses that it's on, or you can go into the focus mode. So you've got snow, you've got desert, you've got sand, rocks, mountain, you've got wading, you've got aggressive mode, you've got sport mode, and you've got the bow turn mode as well, which I'll show you later in the video. You also get this cool graphic here that shows you your incline and decline angles, so you know exactly how steep the hill is that you're on. You've also got your tilt angle on there as well. And if I come out of there, we can slide across to our air suspension mode, where you can adjust the height to the maximum of 270 millimeters, lower it to the lowest setting. It will tell you the height of the car, so you can avoid obstacles around as well. And on this page, you can change between comfort and sport, or change between kind of the softness or the vibration harshness of the suspension as well. Of course, you've got your ventilation controls there, all your heating and stuff as well. You get a camera mode, so you can record your adventures in here. So you can record via video or camera from via photograph from the camera up here. You can also do selfie mode via this camera camera here, take photographs from inside the car if you really want to. And then one final thing in this system is here. This is our fridge and heater controls, because in here we've got a fridge and a heater in the armrest. You can get 4 big bottles or about 8 of these kind of size cans in there. Press this dial here to turn it on, flick between -6 and 6 degrees of temperature, press again to change between 35 and 50 degrees of temperature, and hold it down to turn it off. We also get 2 cup holders here in the middle. They are height adjustable, so if I press this button here, this bottle neatly pops out there. So if you have a really tall drink, you don't want it sloshing around while you're going off road, you can push that all the way down, keep your cup really nicely in position there. We also get 2 50-watt wireless vented chargers here in the middle. You only get that on the flagship version. The normal versions get 1 control in there. And under here, we also get 3 scent pots as well. So you can make your car smell really nice, give it a nice fragrance, and then try and work out where the hole is to put that back in as well. 2 USB-A and 1 USB-C socket under there as well. We also get a premium sound system in here. So DVLA, French premium sound system, 16 speakers on all versions of the car. The flagship version gets 18. The additional 2 speakers are here in the headrest to give you focused audio, either from infotainment or from the sat-nav, things like that, so you don't disturb everybody else in the car. And as well as that, we also get ambient lighting, so under the dashboard there, around this center console. And what I really like is the ambient lighting around the chunky handles in the corner, because when you change your ventilation to hot or cold, the light changes red or blue to tell you which direction you're going in as well. So nice ambient lighting in there. And one final thing is the sunroof and panoramic roof up here. It's an electronic sunroof. You can pop that up and slide it back. You can also close the electric sun blind on there as well to keep the sun out, keep the cabin nice and cool. The driving position in this car is definitely quite high. I'm not used to sitting this high in an SUV, but you feel like you're quite on top of the vehicle. It does feel quite upright, but the seats are very comfortable. Big chunky bolsters on the side here. 12-way adjustable for the driver, 6 or 10-way adjustable for the passenger, depending on the spec that you get. And you get heating, ventilation, and massage functions on these 2 front seats as well. Heating on the steering wheel as standard on all cars. You get heating in the 2 outer seats in the back, and the flagship version also adds ventilation in the back seats as well. So it's really comfortable, really premium, not utilitarian at all up here in the front. In the back, maybe not quite as cool as in the front, but let's check it out. Hey, if you're enjoying the video so far, consider clicking the subscribe button down below to get more videos like this in your timeline. And if you want daily news from the Chinese car industry, go to InsideChinaAuto.com. Back to the video. Back here, more of a focus on comfort and space, I would say, than entertainment. You don't really get a lot to kind of entertain you here, though you can see the central screen, but you probably won't be able to watch films while driving in international markets. Nevertheless, it is very spacious. Plenty of room for my feet down there, even though that seat is as low as it will go. Plenty of knee room, good upright seating position with good thigh support here as well. Plenty of headroom. It's a really commanding position, actually, sat here in the back. It would be a great car to do safari in, because you can see a lot of stuff. You feel like you're quite high up in these back seats. Other than that though, it's really kind of just practical things. So you get a big chunky grab handle to help you get into the car. You get 3 pockets on the back of the front seat there, 2 vents down here. You can't change the temperature, but you can change the direction. You get your heating and ventilation buttons for these 2 outer seats. And in this pocket here, USB-C and USB-A sockets as well. You also get adjustability for your backrest, so you can lay it back a little bit more if you want to. You get an armrest in the middle with a pair of cup holders in there and some extra space in the middle. And you get really good Isofix seat mountings on this. These are the best ones I've seen. You just pop this bit of plastic in there and the mounting is really right there. Super easy. These are the best Isofix mountings I've seen so far, even better than those in the GU. So yeah, it's really, really good. Good commanding position, comfort and spacious, not too much in terms of entertainment, but you know, maybe you can get a more expensive car if you want to watch TV in the back. As you'd expect from a car with air suspension, the B5 rides really nicely. Got a lovely supple ride quality. If the road gets choppy and bumpy, doesn't have any problem, just glides over it, no problem. It even impressed my wife, and she's not the biggest BYD fan in the world, so she was impressed with the general ride quality of this car. I wouldn't say it's necessarily stable or sporty. It's definitely not sporty. Even if you have it in the sport mode where it goes a bit tighter, if you weave the car around, it rolls like nothing else. It is super top heavy. You feel like kind of doing this all over the place. So it's quite entertaining, but of course it's not a sports car. That's not what it's intended to do. It's intended to ride over off-road surfaces really well, and it does have a really good ride quality on road surfaces. Maybe not quite as good as dual chamber air suspension, which just irons out just the last little final vibrations a little bit more, but nevertheless it's a very good ride quality. It's also super quick, this car, because it has, of course, the engine at the front, which you only use in certain cases. It's got a 200 kilowatt electric motor on the front, 285 kilowatt electric motor on the back. They can propel this car from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.8 seconds, so it's pretty rapid when it wants to be. It'll move like a scolded cat, and it will dive backwards and the front wheels will move upwards like that. It's really quite entertaining. But yeah, super smooth to drive, obviously very, very quiet in EV mode. When the engine comes on, if I pop it into hybrid mode now, the engine is actually on, but it's really just a kind of a little hum in the distance. Really well soundproofed. So the only time that you really get the engine to make some noise is if you floor the throttle. There you go, then you get the engine kind of changing down gear a little bit to kind of engage more, get a bit more power through. That's when you get a bit of noise coming in, but that is literally the only time. It's a really, really quiet drive system, this one. Super smooth, being pretty much fully electric, and I really, really like it. Now, of course, being fully electric, it does come with a battery as well. So we get a 31.8 kilowatt hour blade battery under this car, which will give us a electronic only range, an EV only range of 125 kilometers. It will give us a total range in combination with the engine of 1,200 kilometers, which is pretty good. That's on CLTC though, so more likely going to be just under 1,000 in total for that. But it's a good system. It'll do 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers in terms of fuel usage. Actually, over the life cycle of this vehicle, which is about 9,500 kilometers so far, it's been doing 4.3 liters per 100 kilometers. So it's been actually a lot more efficient than that, but it may therefore have used a bit more energy in terms of charging. Now, in terms of charging, it does do 100 kilowatt DC fast charging, the same as a BYD Shark. So not the fastest in the world, but it'll do the job. It's certainly reasonably quick. It took me about an hour, I would say, to go from about 5 kilometers of range on here to the full 125 kilometers of range on a charger that was about 160 kilowatts, so it would have been maxing out on the car as it was. In terms of autonomous driving systems, it comes with a level 2.5 system, which means lever activated lane overtakes. I did try it on the motorway from Xi'an to where I am now. Not the best system, to be honest with you. It'd be better if they had the same system as they have in the Bao 8, the recently launched larger SUV, which is a much more confident system. This one's a bit more hesitant, a bit more kind of cautious about changing lanes and things like that, but it'll do what you want it to do. It'll just require a bit more patience to do so. That's all I would say. And of course, you can adjust all the settings here on the steering wheel. In terms of prices, we don't have international prices for the car yet, but it starts in China at 239,800 RMB. I'll give you the currency translations below. There are 4 versions of this car. That's the cheapest one. The most expensive one is 302,800 RMB. That's this flagship edition here. And that's a really reasonable price, actually. I do suspect when it goes to Australia, it will significantly undercut cars like the Land Rover Defender and the Land Rover Discovery and Range Rover Sport and stuff like that. And it'll be a really, really capable off-road car in the process. Now, speaking of off-roading, let me show you a little bit of what I can do. I did go in search of some proper roads, but there was nowhere really legally that I could go and do that I found within a reasonable distance around me. So I'll show you something that it can do, and then I'll show you the bow turn. Let's have a look. Now, I've gone in search of some places where I can legally do a little bit of off-roading. Not that easy to find places where you can do this, to be honest, but I've got a really good one here. Down this ditch on the left side, I had to come up a really steep incline and then quite a sharp breakover angle to get onto this road that I'm on now, down by the Yellow River. So what I'm going to do now is the same thing, but in reverse. Let's check it out. Okay, so we're coming up to the ramp now. We're going to have to turn off this road here and then head down the ramp. Now what I'm going to do, before I go down the ramp, I'm going to go into my system settings here and put my suspension on the highest setting. I'll put it in park, put it up to the highest level. So you see it's going up from 210 millimeters of ground clearance, should go up to 270 millimeters of ground clearance. You can hear the suspension going up. Last bit. It says it's still going up. I think the back of the car has gone up as well. There we go. Now we're ready to go. Okay, so pop it into drive and let's take it down this hill. Now, it doesn't look as steep from the outside. It certainly feels very steep on the inside. It's kind of a dusty platform here. Check that out. There we go. Cruise down there nice and carefully. Very good. And that's about as difficult as I've been able to find legally to do that. So yeah, that was kind of the easiest place I could find that I could legally go off-road and do something quite steep and with a good breakover angle. I will now head back to the main road because I want to show you the bow turn. Now in the meantime, I'm going to go up this really steep hill up here. We've got let's go to our off-road settings and let's see what kind of angles we've got going on here. Sorry, that's the wrong one. This one here. So up this hill, quite steep. What are we on? 10 degrees, 12 degrees now. So nice steep road up here. And the car just flies up here. No problem at all. And I think it would do pretty well on a proper off-road course. I wouldn't mind trying to find one where I could do that. But yeah, in the meantime, that's what it can do off-road a little bit. Let me now take you to show you the bow turn. So now I've arrived at the bow turn test site. So here we go. What I'm going to do, stop the car, put it into park, click on this button here, and then decide what kind of surface we're on. So we've got snow, gravel, or grass. I'll put it on gravel. Press that button there. I have to put it into four-wheel drive mode. It's now on. It's activated on this screen. So what you do, you spin your wheel to the right-hand side, put your car into drive, and the indicator will come on in the direction that you're going. Then you press the throttle, and this is what it looks like. And you can see there on the screen, you've got actually a circle where we've just done a turning radius of just 3.4 meters, which gives you the chance to really get out of tight situations, whether you're in kind of a crowded area with trees around you or with, you know, obstacles and things like that. Really useful. And to do it left, you simply turn left, indicator comes on, you do the exact same thing again. So it's a really fun little system, and what it essentially does is drives the front wheels, and then it locks the outside wheel, and the inside wheel either stops or drives in reverse to give you this really kind of small turning circle. So a really little nifty feature. It probably buggers the hell out of your tires, to be totally honest with you, but if you're on snow, if you're on gravel like this, or if you're on grass, it's not going to be as bad as if you do it on tarmac. I don't think it allows it to do it on tarmac, but nevertheless, little interesting feature. That is the B5, and that is what it can do. So that's it for our review of the Fangchengbao Bao 5 or Denza B5. Make no mistake, this is a seriously impressive off-roader. It'll do everything that a Land Rover Defender will do, but it'll do it at a fraction of the cost. And with that electrified drivetrain, got super smooth power delivery, loads of torque on demand, and with the air suspension, it's really capable off-road, but also keeps things super smooth on the road as well. And of course, it's got a beautifully appointed interior, really high quality materials, loads of infotainment, very comfortable, and it's very practical as well because you can charge other people's cars if you need to, or charge all the camping equipment and stuff like that. You could seriously be a nomad, live in the desert in this car, you'd have no problem. And I do think it will shake up the off-road market in the countries where it's going to, in the same way that the BYD Shark shook up the pickup truck market in the places where that has gone to. I really do think it's that good. Thank you very much for watching. If you do, thank you for subscribing. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up so more people can see the great cars coming out of China. And as ever, we'll catch you next time.